tired. It has just gone 5:15 in the morning. Episode 2, the Aesthetic Athlete Cut, the full day of eating. So I always start off my morning with some supplements, some creatine and some electrolytes. Let's get into it.
And if you're new here, I'm Blair. I'm an online coach that specializes in helping people build lean, athletic bodies so they can do the stuff they want to do without second guessing themselves.
All right, so it is now just gone 6:15 in the morning. We are back in the kitchen making my first coffee of the day. So normally I will wait around about an hour-ish after getting up until I have my first caffeinated beveragino. Just based off stuff I've heard, based off mainly the Andrew Huberman podcast, as to why you shouldn't be drinking caffeine first thing in the morning. So I like to wait at least an hour just to kind of wake up more naturally before I then have my first coffee of the day. So we're gonna drink this, go back and do a little bit more work, and I'm gonna check in with you guys later. All right, people. So it is now 8:05 in the morning, and we are actually off to pick up Dudley, the family dog, because we are dog sitting for the next 3 weeks. It's absolutely fucking freezing, but then after this I'll go and pick him up, come back home, and then Chaz is coming around and we're going to transfer from this average camera to his awesome camera, and that is when I'll start going through the bits and pieces of what I am actually doing to help me stay more adherent to this mini cut over the 6 weeks I've been going through it. Well, I'm in about week 4 now, so over the time period so far, and what I will continue to use to stay adherent to actually get the results I want to get. So stay tuned for that, it's coming soon. Hello! 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 Hi! Yes! Hi! Hi! Alright, so something I have been adding into my diet recently is a ginger shot once per day. I quite like this Moju brand because you can get this and it literally is like 7 shots in one bottle, and I've just been adding this in pretty much since I started feeling like I was developing the flu a little bit, and also since it appears half of the UK has also developed this flu. So I've just been adding in 1 shot. I don't have any shot glasses, I'm not as cool as I was at uni. So 1 shot of this per day, just to help with clearing my airways, making me feel a little bit fresher. It's certainly nice and spicy. Obviously ginger is really good for sort of anti-inflammatory things as well, but in terms of ingredients it's pretty straightforward. You've got apple, ginger root, a bit of lemon, a bit of cherry powder. I mean, it's pretty much 0 calories when you look at it sort of on a shot by shot basis, but yeah, look, it just helps me kind of, I don't even know if it's fully it could just be placebo, right? But anyway, it's been helping me, so cheers. 1 shot of those a day. Now, right now, I am gonna probably take, I don't know where he's gone, take the dude man out for a little walk, come back, and then we will go over point number 1 of what I'm doing on this diet to help me stay adherent throughout the entire process. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and cover point number 1 whilst I'm here, just after having had my ginger shot, because it's actually pretty relevant. So when I'm going through this diet, or any diet that I have been on in the past and probably in the future as well, I try to avoid drinking my calories where possible. Now, as I said, that ginger shot was the best part of maybe, I don't know, 10 calories, something like that. So I'll probably not track that one, and I don't need to be as accurate as that. But pretty much the only calories I will actually drink is through milk, and that's just because I fucking love milk, mate. I am cutting down massively on the amount of milk I am drinking throughout this cut, purely because, again, I don't want to be drinking my calories. What I do is I just track in 300 mils of milk with my breakfast, because then I know that's going to take care of just like dashes of milk I have in coffees and things like that throughout the day. If I was to have, you know, a glass of milk with something else, then obviously I would track that in as usual. But generally, when I'm in diet mode, I will avoid drinking my calories, because it's just going to mean that that food gets digested quicker, the calories that you drink, And ultimately, it's just not going to fill me up for a very long period of time. And I'll probably find that I get hungry quite soon after. So if you're going through a bit of a bulking phase, or a lean gaining phase, I should say, then drinking calories can be a great thing, because it's going to help you get more calories in for essentially lower volume, right? But actually, when you're dieting, you kind of want the opposite, right? You want to be making sure that you're putting all your calories to good use on things that's going to actually help you feel more satiated. So rule number one for me is always, when I'm on a diet, is don't drink my calories, focus on eating my calories.
All right, so first proper meal of the day, we've got scrambled eggs on toast. This is probably pretty much my staple breakfast all year anyway. I will just change the number of eggs and the slices of toast. But today, so you guys know, I am basically going for the same macros as what I said last week. Well, 2,750-ish calories is what I'm going for, and I just want to get like more than 200 grams of protein, and I don't really care right now what my carbs and my fats are. I think I said that last week. So yeah, this is meal one. We've got 5 whole eggs, 2 slices of toast. I tried on Monday and Tuesday doing like 3 whole eggs and then a shit ton of egg whites just to bulk it out even more, but it was so watery and it tastes like shit. So I'm not willing to sacrifice the egg yolks anymore. So that's what we've got. And point number 2 of the day is to how you can help yourself to adhere to the diet a bit longer and a bit better, is to eat foods that are high in protein, and generally just have a high protein diet. Even more so, I would say, when you're dieting than just, you know, if you're not dieting, if you just kind of go about your normal routine, your normal goals, whether that's performance based or whatever. I think in a diet you should especially be having more protein, and there's 2 reasons for that. So the first one is the classic one that everybody talks about, that you probably know by now, but basically protein helps you stay fuller for a longer period of time. But the reason for that is because out of protein, carbs and fats, protein is the most complex nutrient for our body to digest and break down and kind of actually be absorbed into your body. So because it's more complex, it takes longer. Therefore, because it's kind of a longer process to get it from, you know, you eating it to fully absorbed, it helps you feel fuller for a longer period of time. So when you're dieting, typically you're going to come up against hunger, right? And as a quick tangent to that, something I often say to clients and even myself now is like, when I'm hungry on a diet, in a way I just think of it, right, cool, I need to lean into this. Like, I should expect to be hungry sometimes, and if anything, it's just a sign that this is definitely working. Because if I was never hungry, then I'd be kind of like, well, you know, am I even in a deficit? So there should be hunger there. But eating foods that are high in protein will help curb that, especially, you know, after the first 2 or 3 weeks, when hunger levels maybe do start to sort of steadily increase a bit more day on day. Making sure you're having high protein foods will definitely help. And then the second reason why you should eat high protein foods is protein has the highest, what we say, thermic effect of food, right? So the easiest way I can think to explain this is, if you were to eat 100 calories worth of carbohydrates, right? You eat those 100 calories, then the net value of that might only be, let's just say, 90 calories. So basically it takes and it costs your body 10 calories in this case to digest that carbohydrates, right? So therefore the net effect is 90. Now, I wouldn't bother trying to work out the maths on everything you're eating as to what the net effect is. You just track your food as it is. Don't fucking worry about any of that. But when we think about protein's net effect is lower, because, as I've already mentioned, it takes longer and it's harder for our bodies to digest it. It costs our bodies more energy. So for example, it might cost our bodies 25 calories, you know, this is obviously just rough numbers, to digest 100 calories worth of protein, right? Hopefully you're following me with this. So therefore, if you eat more protein but the same amount of calories versus having higher carbs or higher fats, you will actually have a lesser net calorie intake. So whilst you shouldn't let that kind of mind fuck you in terms of you're trying to eat the net effect of all these different foods, still track your food as normal, you're just doing yourself a favor by eating more protein, because you can have the same number of calories, but actually the net effect of that is smaller. So point number 3 of things that I'm just doing in general that's going to help me just adhere to this diet that I'm on for, you know, the time period that I'm going to be doing it for, is I'm still including foods that I like to eat, and I'm still including foods that I just kind of fancy having off the cuff. Now, the typical way you'd hear a fitness person say this, you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to just, you can eat the foods that you love to eat and still lose weight and lose body fat, which, yeah, cool, whatever. But
the majority of the foods I'm eating right now, I wouldn't say I'm eating them because I love them. I'm just eating them because they're pretty much what I would normally eat anyway. I know that they're good enough in terms of taste that I will eat it, and I know they kind of tick the boxes for what my goals are right now. Having said that, I would say that's 85% of my diet. 15% of my diet of what I'm bringing in from a calorie standpoint is probably just coming from random foods that I just want to eat. A good example of this is last weekend, we went out for a pizza. Didn't really worry too much about it. Just thought, cool, I'll stay on track during the day. I'll have the pizza and I'll be straight back to things the next day. It doesn't really have to be that big of a deal. Likewise, for some people, it might be including a croissant. It might be including a chocolate bar or something each day. Me personally, I probably prefer just being locked in most days of the week and not really trying to fit foods in, and then just kind of thinking, right, at the weekend I'll have a pizza, or I'll have a dessert, or I'll have a packet of M&Ms or something, without really worrying too much about, or overly worrying about trying to fit it in, because I know that if I'm getting the results I'm getting, one small thing here or there that will only accumulate to maximum 15% of my diet isn't really going to make a big difference when the other 85% is very locked in. We've got 2 fat baked potatoes, which I'll touch on in a second as to why we're specifically eating these. And then we've got something that I slow cooked on Monday actually, which I'll post the recipe for in my Instagram sometime soon. But it's basically like a Nando's style pulled chicken, but ideal because I just make it on Monday in the slow cooker, and then it lasts me for 3-4 days, and I stick it on my baked potatoes. And I'll add some vegetables on there when they're done in the air fryer. But I didn't tell you that things are going to look particularly good.
Yeah, they're not so aesthetic athlete.
Yeah. See, this is what like 90% of my meals look like. Every now and again when I make a good one, I hold the plate here and then take a photo of it for Instagram. But most of the time, it looks like that. Wait. Alright, so it's now 1:30, 1:31, and which is lunch. So far today, we're probably sitting on, I actually don't know how many calories we're on. I reckon we're probably on around about, after this meal will be about 1,700, 1,700-ish. Probably about 120-ish grams of protein, something like that. I don't know if this is a guy thing as well, but often like if I have a meal like this, I'll just mush it all together and like make it into like I don't know. And I was always like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? I'm like, well, I want to like evenly spread everything across. I kind of just mash it all together. That's what I mean. My food's not very aesthetic, but it does the job, and it fills me up, which leads me nicely on to point number 4 of things that I'm doing just to help me stick to the diet. So point number 4 is basically focusing on eating satiating foods. Now, satiating basically just means foods that fill you up. So if you want, you can just Google the satiation index, or just type in Google satiating foods, and it will come up with foods that make us feel fuller, right? So potatoes, especially white potatoes in general, are, I believe, number 1 on the satiation index. So you cannot eat a food that will fill you up more than white potato. Hence why my lunch today is 2 fat baked potatoes with the chicken. And remember from earlier, I was talking about how protein also fills you up, makes you feel fuller for longer. So big amount of protein in this, lots of potato in here. I know that this lunch is going to tie me over pretty much until dinner. I might have a little snack at some point just because I have the calories to do so, but point number 4 is basically making sure that you have a look at what the satiating foods are and pick a few of those that you're going to eat pretty much every single day that you know that you like, so that it's going to be easier again for you to stick to your diet. Alright, so it is now just gone 4:15, and I'm going to have a packet of these mini chocolate rice cakes. 145 calories for the packet, about 20 grams of carbs, and this is my pre-workout snack. Now, normally I wouldn't go and train at this time, but just my day's been a wee bit backwards today. But anyway, pre-workout snack going in, gonna go and train, then we'll come home and have dinner, and I'll see you then. All right, so dinner, we've got the chicken thighs, potatoes, and sugar snap peas. Now, this is definitely later than when we would normally have dinner, but we're looking after the dude man, as you've seen.
So we took him on a little stroll before we came back for dinner. So pretty much just gonna eat this, and then I'll show you some clips of my protein eating mess, and then that's gonna be me for the day. There it is, the protein eaten mess. If you want the recipe for this, actually, you can check it out on my Instagram. I posted this pretty recently. So the fifth and final thing I want to speak about when it comes to things that are helping me stay on track with this mini cut and just be adherent to it is to eat high volume foods. What I mean by that is foods that essentially just take up more space in my stomach, right? So I like to think of this as sort of two ends of a spectrum. So if you have one side is foods that are quite high in calorie, quite calorie dense, but actually they don't take up a lot of space, something like chocolate. And then the other end of the spectrum, you've got foods that are quite low in calories that take up a lot of space. So something like lettuce. If you were to compare, 200 calories worth of chocolate, that might be a handful, versus 200 calories of lettuce, that's going to be like a massive bowl. So you want to think about filling yourself up and filling your plate up with foods that are high volume. And to me, this is a perfect example of that, because it's only 250 grams worth of Greek yogurt, but then by adding in the low-cal jelly, it makes it even bulkier. By adding in the meringue nest, which that alone is a good example of a high volume food because it's 53 calories for the one thing, and then adding in 150 grams worth of berries just massively bulks out this whole meal. So it's going to help me feel more satiated and ultimately help me stick to the diet longer term. All right, so that is my full day of eating on this Aesthetic Athlete cut. Hopefully it's been useful for you. If it has, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be releasing an episode every single week to do with the Aesthetic Athlete cut, just to show you guys and document how I'm getting on with it, what I'm doing, kind of episodes like this to show you how you can stick to it longer term. So if you've enjoyed it, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.